mirror. And in the daytime, I use the sunlight because it's obviously, super bright.
Yeah, the strongest.
Yeah, I had a neighbor who was, in the Air Force, and she was like, you could probably blind a pilot with one of those things. I'm like, can you imagine that? It crashes on your house,
Yeah, it would take a while for it to go down. So.
Calm down.
Yeah.
You guys are trained.
Holy crap! I can't see anything. We're going down.
Yeah, because there's no like there's no objects down there that can reflect light other than a mirror.
Yeah,
right.
You're like
and on the way down, the pilot actually sees me holding the mirror. Damn you, Christo!
They definitely don't want to. They don't want to fly over water. That's for sure.
Right.
They were
flares. Yeah.
Other
Well,
planes,
you know what?
holy shit.
I see these people, though. Some of them, I have to say, I use a very powerful laser, but not to touch or point any object by touching it with a laser. Number one, because no plan's perfect, and you can make a mistake, and you could blind a pilot, and that could be a big problem. Okay?
Yeah,
no doubt.
Would you rule against?
But when I use a laser, I point it down. So what I'm doing with the laser is I'll point it directly below the line that leads to them at the water, with it eventually winding up at me. So basically, what I'm showing them is where I am on the other side of the bay.
Almost like a cat.
But I would never. Yeah, you don't point the light at. Even if it was. And I have a theory about pointing them at the UFOs. Doing that, if I've seen this footage where
they
were filming.
Stop that.
well, yeah, there was a UFO that was filmed right in space from the ISS, and as it was coming in, somebody on the ground fired a missile,
a laser, and the thing shot off. That's one of my favorite pieces of evidence. Man, that's so. I don't know how anyone can deny that film at all. It's nothing.
Well, anybody that does, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I would think being like
to actually see it is amazing. Yeah. That's actually got out. But yeah.
Well, did you see the launch of the? Did you see what happened when they launched the Tesla into space?
Yes.
Okay. How many UFOs were in that shot? Right.
It's like they want to be in selfie or in the screenshot.
If you watch very closely, they're doing triangles behind that car as it's flying along in space, right?
Yeah.
Somebody had a sense of humor in space, and it wasn't a bunch. I
they probably thought it was really pretty.
Yeah, it could have been the Space Force. Now that I think of it, maybe Donald Trump and his pals were up there. Jet setting around.
I've got a great idea. Take the body, put it in the trunk, send it to space. Photo shoot. Do it.
Right.
That wasn't a mannequin.
I'm convinced I'm convinced that hairdo is definitely covering something up, and that if we remove it, we'll definitely find out what that something is. It could, in fact, be. It's the thing that was in the suitcase in Pulp Fiction. Every time they opened the suitcase, that was what's inside. Right.
It was a traveler briefcase on Philip and Holly.
Right. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. All right.
Time travel might be affecting these Mandela effects. We know Trump time travels already with those crazy things. So we know, everyone go check out The Curse of the Man Who Sees UFOs. Of course, if you haven't seen it.
Actually, it's Curse. If you put in The Curse, it's Curse of the Man Who Sees UFOs.
Right.
The second film.
It's like Ramones and the Ramones.
title of the second film is The Man Who Sees UFOs.
Oh, we finally
get about the man.
Oh,
it's about Christo.
Yeah.
It's like
and we're talking about a third film that would be called A Man Who Sees UFOs. But that to me,
really?
Yeah, but that's. The producers just keep pushing their luck, and I'm like, I almost died making the. I mean, I'm not going to go into. Just every time you make a movie, it feels like you move the whole earth because there's so much emotion, and everybody is on a roller coaster. There's inevitably somebody's not happy. Somebody, So, and this time we wanted to raise the quality level. Of the photography for the UFOs, and we wanted to go to different locations, and that meant more money, and it was like
And I'm sure you wanted more control.
I really cannot wait.
Well, I
can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, I had control, but you'll see in the second film, it was the biggest roller coaster ride of my entire life. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, we are so excited to see that.
It's all on you too. You were 90%. If it's not orbs, it's you or someone you're talking to. The director did a great job of not ever even showing up in a frame.
That was his vision, totally. That was totally his idea. I hand Justin a lot of credit for teaching me something about,
performance,
doing a narrative.
Yeah.
And he excels in that department.
He does. And the fact that you're driving by the island from Flesh Eaters at the end, I mean, it pulled it. It's a beautiful documentary. I know people have told me this over the years. But
he wraps everything around really well. I mean, and people in other countries, right, who didn't have the benefit of seeing it in any other language than English, unfortunately, still watched it and loved it. And, with some of the art for the next movie was actually created by people in Belgium who sent me some hand-drawn artwork.
Oh, I love that art of you pointing up with the dog.
Yeah, that's drawn by a guy in Belgium, and he is
that's a T-shirt. That's a T-shirt. Get on it.
It is. It is. That's another thing where I'm trying to figure out how to get the money to do too is the merchandising, which we did a little merchandising for the first one, but I wanted to do a lot more.
Hey, I'll tell you, Christo, talk to Drea. She set up a cafe press shop just for the show. It's a print-on-demand site, and you get royalties from it. Drea set it up. Hey, talk with her. She'll hook you up.
Wow.
She can pick a site for
you've got my number. You know how to call me.
Indeed, I do.
Just make sure it's not around 5 or 6, because right now I would be out filming UFOs. But I'm here talking to you wonderful people.
we appreciate that so much.
Any other time in the world too.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah.
So do you have a timeline on when The Man Who Sees UFOs, the sequel, the next album? Do you have a timeline of any idea when it might come out?
Well, I'm a producer, and I've learned over the course of the several years that I've made movies not to try to micromanage the director. And he is working feverishly because, like I told you, this movie is massive. It has so many layers to it, and he's as much of a monster director as Justin was. And I mean, I don't know, these people, these new guys that I'm finding to direct these movies are so impressive to me, because not only the level of skill that they have, but the amount of patience that they have to work with me on a subject like this and still make it interesting to watch and beautiful. And so I tell people, I say, listen, man, it'll be out soon. And I have seen a rough cut, and I can tell you that it made me start crying. So it's definitely as emotional. If I compare it, that my stock thing that I tell people, I go, it'll be the difference between Alien, the first Alien movie, and Aliens, the second movie.
No.
Our new sequel is Aliens.
I hope it traumatizes me as much as Aliens did. Before I go,
game over, man. Game over.
Man, you brought up movies. And this is going to be off the topic completely, but do you have any good deep cut horror or alien recommendations?
I was going to ask that.
My favorite film this last year was Mandy. I thought that Nicolas Cage delivered a tour de force. If you're listening to this podcast, Nicholas, man, I want to have a movie I want to make with you so bad. And, when you talk about movies like Wild at Heart, and this movie, Mandy, and you look at those performances, and they are just stellar. I highly recommend that anybody, if you haven't seen that movie, Mandy, do yourself a favor and go and enjoy some real cinema, whether it's at home or in a theater. If you can catch it somewhere on a screen, I don't know if they're still showing it or not, but that was probably my top movie of this whole last year. Yeah, my favorite movie of all time, though, is John Carpenter's The Thing.
Well,
nice. Yes.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Of course, we all love that here. Look, I really respect your taste and everything you've been through as far as making movies and your musical taste. Like you would be a guy if you were in New Orleans. I would have looked up to you a lot, and I do right now. So before that's what I wanted to get in. But Jude, do you have any final thoughts or questions for Christo?
You got a favorite Roger Corman film?
My favorite Roger Corman film?
Yeah.
That's, I would say, oh, God, that's a hard one for probably, it would be one of the Jack Nicholson first films, probably Telltale Heart or The Raven. With Jack, these are all Edgar Allan Poe movies. They were some of his most notorious films. They also just had these amazing sets and color schemes, and
they all had Vincent Price initially in the older ones too.
Also, I really liked X, The Man with X-Ray Eyes, with Don Rickles and Ray Milland. That is the basis of a science fiction script based on some dialogue in that film. That when I was hanging out with Roger Corman, I said, I want to make this movie, and I want to base it on the thing that Ray Milland says at the end of the movies, where he goes, "There's an eye at the center of the universe that sees us all," right? And then in the crowd behind him goes, "Pluck it out. Plug it out." Right? So I'll leave it to your imagination to
see where
that movie would be about. Yeah, but he would be, Nicolas Cage is top of the list on my people that I would like to have in this movie.
Hey, that's great. One of our big supporters is a band called the Tomb of Nick Cage, which if you ever go to New Orleans,
really? Well, God bless them for supporting.
His actual tomb? It's a pyramid in the cemetery where Marie Laveau is, and he's all ready to. It's great, but there's a band called the Tomb of Nick Cage based on his cemetery. They're a New Orleans band. But how about you, Drea? They're a horror punk band. You would love them. They've been on Coast to Coast and everything. It's about aliens.
I'll check them out.
They got songs about
they're so great.
All kinds of movies. It's great. Drea, what about you? What you got?
Just wanted to say, I love your energy and passion for the thing. I think, intellectually, conceptually, you're, I think, spot on with all this stuff. I completely agree with pretty much like all of your theories. And I mean, I'm in California. I'd love to go UFO hunting sometime with you.
Yes. Well, when, I get caught up, and we're going to do some film festivals. We're going to definitely do the film festivals up in the Bay Area, the Sidewalk Festival, the Brain Dead Festival, the, San Francisco Doc Festival. Those are all
awesome.
That's like home. I like going up there too, because I can stay at the Kabuki Hotel and strip down on the balcony there of the hotel room while Buddhist
and you
monks
only get cheers.
The Buddhist monks were meditating, and they were all standing there. So I came out on the balcony disrobed and did the Ankh thing, and it was classic. So San Francisco is home for me when it comes to premiering movies.
Oh yeah, love that.
That's great. All right, and
I got to watch Tobe Hooper's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 with Tobe Hooper sitting next to me in the theater.
I just watched Poltergeist the other night, and we ended up having to do something about Bell Witch because of it. Because he's a master.
Tobe directed that kind of. He got overwhelmed by the size of the production.
I can imagine it is big. I can see Spielberg's hands in it more than anything, but he had
Spielberg really kind of held his hand, and because making a big movie, man,
that's got to be so
easy.
Nuts coming from what he does. It's so nuts.
Yeah, people go, "I want to direct a movie." I'm like, "Okay, sign here."
and at that time, with those level of effects, and just like when I see his hands all over it, when the guy's in the mirror and he's picking his own flesh out, I'm
pulling
like,
his face off. Yeah, it's classic.
Yeah.
classic.
It's so great. So great. All right.
Yeah.
All right, Rob, I know, and Rob, thank you. Rob set this interview up. That's a producer, man.
Thank you, Rob.
It's
It's been an honor to speak to nice people.
Oh, thank you.
We love you, man.
Thank you,
This is so
Christo.
great.